And we're back to another talk about clearing up misconceptions with anything related to the T1N. So today I want to talk about ABS issues. I'm seeing a ton of confusion regards to ABS fault codes. I see it all the time on forums and on Facebook groups. So let's start off. In order for you to determine if you're having ABS issues, you need to have the right Mercedes-Benz capable scanner. I recommend the TEL 800. I'm going to set up a link on the description of this video. That's a separate video that explains why I think that is the best option. So you get your ABS lights come up on your dash. Maybe you have cruise control and it doesn't activate. Pedal starts feeling a little bit weird or starts vibrating. You know there's something going on with your ABS. You scan your ABS code and you get a series of different codes, which I'm going to link on the bottom just so you have a sample. Or you get no ABS connection when you know that previously your Mercedes-Benz capable scanner was able to read those codes. And just to make it clear, especially in the United States, Dodge, Freightliner, Mercedes-Benz, it's all the same thing, made in Germany, rebatch in the United States for T1Ns 2002 through 2006. In Europe, it goes farther back. So you determine that you have an ABS issue. Maybe you get a code such as speed sensor cannot be read. Sometimes it tends to be a specific one, back right, front left, very common. And what do people do right away, right? They think no code, it's not reading, it must be about speed sensor. They replace it over and over and over, and still you're not able to get a reading. Without the speed sensors, your ABS shuts off and you're not able to get cruise control. But I'm here to tell you, it's not your speed sensor. Speed sensors rarely go bad, other than anything to do with your tone ring maybe not gap correctly or your tone ring being damaged, which is something else you should inspect as well just to make sure it's fine. What happens is your ABS controller, also known as a cab in Mercedes-Benz terms, controller for automatic braking, I think that's what they call it in the shop manual, has a physical damage, has physical fault. What happens is you have these micro wires in the board that basically come apart, right? And it's not something that you can solder with a regular solder iron. You need a micro board soldering with a microscope. It requires very specific equipment, right? So I see people all the time. What do? They go and purchase a used ABS controller, right? I use ABS controller on eBay, and what ends up happening is that even when you match the serial numbers, you install that controller and it still gives you a fault code. It'll give you a fault code, I forgot the number, but it's very basically wrong variant. And what that's telling you is that controller was designed for a different band length. Think about ABS, think about turning, and all of that has to do a lot with geometric calculations. So if you put in a controller that was for a 118 T1N Sprinter to a 158, now the geometry changes, so the computer knows it's the wrong variant. So then people go out and try to get it reprogrammed. By the way, there's nothing other than injectors to program on T1N. It's all plug and play. It's not that you're programming something. With a Sentry, a shop level scanner, you're able to change settings, right? You're able to change settings such as top speed, right? Which some of the fleet vehicles like the FedEx have. You're able to change the variant, right? But the issue is that it's hard to find someone that has a Zenchi clone or DRB2, which are the shop lever tools. And even when you purchase the clones in China, sometimes they don't have that specific setting, or it's hard to access. So what your default or first thing you should do, if you've already gone through all the diagnosis for your ABS controller, which by the way, you should check the shop manual. The shop manual will give you a walkthrough of how to diagnose your ABS controller, and it'll say replace. What you do is you want to send it to get a fix, right? So there's several companies out there that you ship out the ABS controller, they open it up, the resolder, these micro wires that are torn. So think about this. So if a micro wire that's specific for the signal of the speed sensor comes off, now you're not getting a signal. Therefore, it doesn't matter how many times you replace that ABS, that speed sensor, you're just not gonna get a signal to the board, right? So they fix your controller and they ship it back. No need for changing settings. Other people call it coded, it's not coding. And you get it fixed and you get it reinforced, right? If you buy a used controller, what's gonna happen is that these used controllers are 20 years old, they're in the heat, they take a lot of abuse, vibration. It'll eventually break again and you're back on the same boat looking for another used controller, right? So step one, diagnose correctly. Step two, get it shipped out to one of these companies. I used UpFix, not getting any kind of kickback. I don't have any kind of discount code. It just worked out well for me. And I'm gonna set up a few different links for you to do that. So if you need more information on this, I've talked about it extensively on the T1N groups. I've talked about it extensively on the old T1N forum. And just wanted to give you an example of what happens when you send out the controller. They send you the box back. You get your controller nice and packaged. And what they do again is they open up the box, they resolder what needs to be resoldered, and it's all ready to go. Remember, once you get your controller back, you want to go ahead and clear the codes, because the codes don't live here, they live in your ECU. Another thing I also want to clear out is that there's two aspects of your ABS system. There's the ABS, also known as a cab controller. This controls the electronic aspects of it. It's kind of like the computer over. And then there's your ABS pump, right? So when you remove this, you only have to remove the electronic part, which is going to just require, I think, 8 torque screws right from the controller. You leave the controller alone. You never have to bleed or disconnect the whole thing. Now, you could also have an issue where the ABS pump gets damaged. The ABS pump has just basically little motors inside, electronic motors that open and close valves. Just like an older drill, these carbon, I forgot the term for it. The carbons on the motors can get worn out, and those can also go bad. A lot of people go to the DIY route. Seems to be pretty simple to just go ahead and replace those, or you can also send those pumps out for replacement. If you send your pump out, do not send your ABS controller. These two companies work separately. One is more of a electronics repair, the other one is more of a pump. Think of it more like a fuel pump, Bosch ABS pumps repair center. So make sure you have those two clear. But yeah, other than that, that's it. Stop buying used ABS controllers. Get your controller repaired. Now, I'm going to give you one last tip. Let's say you use your van for work, right? And you need to be able to keep working without having to wait for the turnaround time. You can get a used random controller from another Sprinter, put it in there. You're gonna have your faults. It's not gonna work correctly, but it'll still allow you to run the van. Meanwhile, you get your actual controller repaired, and you can send that out. It'll work as long as it's a controller from a Sprinter between 2002 and 2006. I'm gonna set up several links I'm going to set up a link for UFix. I'm going to give you a link for the Mercedes-Benz scanner that I recommend. I'm going to give you a link for a discussion where I wrote a detailed process on how I determine all this on the Sprinter forum. I'm gonna set up a link on how to remove the controller from your van. That's all going to be on the description. Good luck out there. These vans are not that hard to repair. They're not hard to diagnose. All the information is out there on the forums, on the groups. As always, search the group, search a forum. These things have happened multiple times and the fixes are already known. So it's best to always search for the information as it exists.